But if you go to a Kenyan event, it's very difficult for an outsider to know that this is a Kenyan event. Interesting thing, Mika, unajua most of the time when you go to events, let's say like a West African event, you will know that this is a Nigerian event. But if you go to a Kenyan event, it's very difficult for an outsider to know that this is a Kenyan event. So, and I know this issue, people have been trying to sort it,
but you can't sort it. And I don't think you can sort it.
What do you mean you can't sort it?
The thing it is, and I think this is where we went wrong. Where we went wrong is that we tried to come up with one national dress. That was the mistake. We should have just let different tribes to rock their different dress and just promote them that as a Maasai traditional wear, Swahili traditional wear, Luya, Kalenjin, Igbo. This thing of trying to get one traditional dress for the whole country with different cultures, different tribes, plus Nini, it was so hard to come up with one dress. I don't Kiangalia West Africa. They don't wear the same patterns or the same things.
Yeah, they don't.
They wear with different tribes. Yeah. So sijui mbona tulikimbilia like we had to specifically just try to look for one specific dress for one tribe. To get a killer tribe rock Kenya in a rock.
True.
And we will be going to a Kenyan event and be like, yep, that's a Kenyan event.
Yeah, because we're at a point where even people don't necessarily know, like what the different groups were. Even people from within those groups, imefika point where people don't know. So you'll see an attempt to dress up like during, for example, during weddings. But you'll see an attempt. But we are talking about like casual stuff or official stuff that you can wear every day, and you say this is from this community or this is from that community, because what we consider official is European traditional wear, a suit and a tie.
True.
Yeah,
I don't think we have, because remember before colonizers came, we just used to be filanga free, saisol skirt, yoko, whatever.
Which
is not a problem. No. Yeah, Maasai's had their own.
No. But it's a few communities that were doing that. The filanga free. It was not all communities.
It
was not all.
Yeah, we have their own
probably,
dress.
Yeah, they have their own dress.
Yeah,
but which has remained constant. The guys who adopted are the ones who are filangaing free, except for the Maasai's. The ones who really didn't have.
Mwanakongana zile nguo zenu za brown.
Gani zile wanava time ya harusi.
Wanavaga kwa harusi na harusi, yeah.
Okay, tuko na DJ Bandit hapa pia kuna maoni. Sijui kama huko Bukoba huko kwa Gera wako na traditional attire yao, atakuja atairoka hapa siku moja.
So here's my question. What is traditional dress? How do you define it? It is by material or just design? Kwa sababu ukiangalia Maasai bado hata ile traditional, yani ile nguo yao ambayo tunasema ni traditional bado imetengenezwa ki-western, ile na namna. Nigerians the same thing, right? Ni nguo tu, ni vitambaa, sijui ni cotton.
I guess in design.
Ni design, si ndio? Sasa hapa tuangalia tumefeli wapi ku-identify design ya kwetu. Kwa sababu hatutovaa tena magome ya miti, unajua? Hivi imebaki Uganda na Kagera ndio bado tuna zile I don't have it here, lakini tuna shuka, kuna sheets ambazo zinatokana na miti. All right. Other than that, swala ni kwamba tumefeli wapi? Tunajipoteza kwenye harakati za kujitafuta. No. Kwa hiyo inatakiwa kuangalia namna ambavyo wanaweza. Hata kuna hiyo plan ya kufanya hivyo. Sisi Tanzania usipovaa tie na suit unafukuzwa bungeni. Right? Kwa sababu
even in Kenya ilikuwa hivyo, lakini ilibadilika baada ya 2010 constitution.
Sasa hivi
but ilikuwa vile
ilikuwa Kenya issue ni nini ndo hakuna dread kwa parliament.
Yeah, sasa tatizo ni kwamba hatujaji-identify. Leo ukienda hata ukienda mahakamani, si bado anavaa ile mawigi?
Bado anavaa Willy Mutunga alijaribu kuondoa, you know, like the first chief justice katika hii new constitution. Alijaribu kuziondoa, lakini Maraga akarudisha.
So the question is why?
Well, you know, like I don't know, but Kenya specifically, I can explain. Kenya was a settler colony. Tanzania sijui. So Kenya was a settler colony there, and there were only, I think, 3 or 4 settler colonies in Africa. Kenya, Zimbabwe, I believe, in South Africa for the British.
I think Tanzania ilikuwa settle pia for the Germans. Ni vile tu Kenyans nani British waliwanyang'anya later on.
Yeah, so Germans sijui, lakini I know with the British hawakuwa settlers in Tanzania, walikuwa na 2 administrators.
Botswana haikuwa pia?
Yeah.
Au Rhodesia ndio ilikuwa ni
Rhodesia, yeah. Rhodesia was Zimbabwe. Was it Zimbabwe? Was it plus parts of Zambia?
Yeah, well, okay, yeah. Parts of Zambia.
Yeah. So those are the settler colonies. Now ukiangalia hizi nchi tuli inherit a lot of things, you know, kutoka from the British people. You know, we're talking about dressing, you know, like the style of education. Hata hizi suits Daniel alikuwa kivaa, naitwaje huyu hapa? Wachana na kaunda. Kulikuwa na hizi stripes.
Charles Njonjo.
Charles Njonjo, yes. That's a person I was thinking
Pinstripe.
about. Yeah. And then, you know, I think part of what happened is that the generation of our parents are the ones who are told that whatever your parents, now that's our grandparents, were doing was primitive.
Yes.
So that was very prevalent, especially the ones who went to school.
Yes.
And you know, with boarding schools, that brainwashing happened for a very long time. And that's why in this generation, the indoctrination
of religion,
it started happening.
Yes.
You know, like during that phase when they were taken to school. Because interestingly enough, all these major schools that the British built, it's very interesting. They all had chapels.
Yes.
That was a very important feature in those schools. Because I think, you know, like with the way they were colonizing us, you know, like the evangelization was a very important aspect of getting people away from their cultures. And that's the reason why, you know, like especially a lot of people within the Christian faith.
Ilikuwa na block retaliation na nini nasema, yeah, sana ilikuwa ni hivyo. So alichosema padri ni hicho. Mnakwenda kule mnaambiwa baada ya hapo amina naondoka. So
na hiyo ndo kwa sababu unaona Kenya especially, I don't know about Tanzania, a lot of people of the Christian faith are starting to have a very complicated relationship with their faith because of things they're learning and things that they understand out of the evangelization that was done.
Now, if you guys, again, I think there's this book, The British Gulags in Kenya.
Yes.
It sort of gives a history of the Mau, the colonization or whatever. And there are parts in that book where, when you read the book, you find out how the church was instrumental in propagating the colonialist agenda. In order for you to, let's say, for example, get food, get rations, or go to school, or confess, or if you know the Mau or this, you know, wachana na Mau, become a Christian. Recite this, do this. And that way you're not going to be like those heathens over there. You're not going to be amongst those guys. So in other words, it's like they were pitting, and the Catholics were doing it. And those are the churches that were there because
the Anglicans, the Catholics and the Anglicans.
Yes, they were being used primarily to fight to brainwash or to have the Kenyans wavuke sakafu.
So there was kind of like an incestuous relationship between the colonizer and
100.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And
because actually Kenya, countries like Kenyans were discovered by what? Explorers, John Livingstone.
They were discovered.
No, yeah.
This is why the guy is like Christopher Columbus.
For the purpose of the show, let's just say what we were taught.
They were discovered. Yes, they discovered.
Was it Livingstone or so?
There was Livingstone. There was Livingstone.
Or Ludwig Kraft. Yeah.
Ludwig
And then,
Kraft.
now,
He wrote the first Swahili English
So for
English
them,
Swahili dictionary.
So for them to get money to be able to come back and continue the explorations and discovery, they were told by the monarch that those areas you're saying that are so, what do you like? They are so rich and they have all this, and you want us to give you money for exploration. You have to go with who? Or the missionaries, the church. So the church funded those explorations, and that is how it was. It was like the first contact that landed was coming with the missionaries, and it was easy to spread the gospel for them and just get it to that. So it's the missionaries who created the way for the colonizers.
Wow, I mean that's a very interesting piece of
so that is
history.
You say like I think with Bandio is saying I think from there, because now like our parents, they are seeing what is happening to their parents, their kids. So they are being told, in order way for you to survive, and you want this, if you don't want your parents or whatever, renounce that faith. Join this faith, and this is what we're going to give you. These are the goodies. We'll get you to school. We'll take care of you of everything and all that and everything. So that was, you can say that was the beginning. So yes, it has been a struggle. And to identify ourselves.
The interesting thing is that the British learned from the mistakes of the Portuguese, because one bit of history that has not been properly taught also in Kenyan schools is the Portuguese. In fact, the Portuguese were more brutal than the British. Now, the Portuguese came to the Kenyan coast, I believe it was back in 1498, and there's this notion sometimes that people say, like it's only certain parts of Kenya that were colonized. The Portuguese occupied the coastal parts of Kenya for over 150 years. It was between 150 to 200 years. But the thing that they failed to do was the evangelization that Pablo is talking about. They were unable to do it. Like they tried for almost 200 years. They did what they were able to get some pockets here and there, but they completely failed to turn people to Christianity. Here's an interesting thing. A lot of Swahili words associated with the church come from Portuguese. Misa, that's a Portuguese word.
Actually, what I was going to say, Ali, is that in Kenya, it's funny because what most people don't realize is that those predominantly Catholic areas in Kenya were actually Portuguese. The Portuguese strong colony, the Portuguese missionaries who went there. And then now the Protestant side and the Anglican side, this is now the British side, the Scottish missionaries who came in. So there's the Scottish who brought the Anglican. So most people assume that the way the Catholic and Anglicans came into Kenya, that they just came in together. No, it's as you say, the Portuguese were the ones who came in first. Those were the first missionaries. And that is why you see that what I said earlier, that the monarch had to use the church to fund the explorations, was because at that point they had to come and we have competition from the Portuguese. Remember, the Portuguese are the ones who discovered this side of the world first. Not discovered, explored. They explored Japan, China, and most of Asia, side of East Africa, the first people. So it's one thing that was never taught in school, because the British became the main colonizers, and they sort of eroded the Portuguese history.
Yes, and they're the ones who predominantly wrote the curriculum.